Top of the morning to you, top of the afternoon, top of the evening, depending upon when you're watching this. We're very excited to bring this to you. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing you all to two incredibly special people. The first individual has been a game changer. He has been the voice of hope, inspiration, and motivation for decades. He has touched millions and millions and millions of lives around the world with his messaging, with his positivity, with his mindset for creating success. He has been my mentor and has taught me so much about expanding my vision over the years. He is the reason that I got involved in entrepreneurialism. He's the reason I got involved in free enterprise. He opened up a window of opportunity that I never could have seen on my own. He saw something in me before I saw it in myself. He is a former television talk show host, radio DJ, served in the Ohio legislature, civil rights activist, and man about town, an incredible human being, an awesome and amazing father, a man of great life experience, Mr. Les Brown, the motivator. So we'll give him some snaps for Mr. Brown. And the second person that I get the privilege of introducing is an incredible woman. Now, she doesn't know that she was mentoring me, but she's been mentoring me for years. I tapped into her content on YouTube years ago, and her voice and her leadership struck a chord with me, not just because of her expertise, but because of her heart and where she leads from. There's a purity, there is an alignment with mind, body, and spirit that enables her to connect with people from all walks of life. She's an international business phenom. Now, when I say that, I mean she's built an international business around the globe and then some. She has the multiple seven-figure earners to prove that, but more importantly, she's literally changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of people with a messaging of looking at things differently. So as we're moving into this space of the storm, knowing that the storm is coming, 2024, we have the privilege of sitting down with an entrepreneur, with a leader that, in my view, has very few peers. Someone who walks the walk and brings great energy every single day. The one and only Miss Kim Wee. We're gonna give her some snaps too, Kim Wee. She's with us live from Arizona with a beautiful backdrop. That's not a screensaver, y'all. That's like a real thing that you're looking at. And Mr. Brown is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Very privileged to have these two on to have this conversation about the storm, like preparing for the storm that's coming. Because we understand in 2024, there's a lot of change that's going to be taking place, whether you like it or not. Whether you say, I don't participate or not, you're a participant if you're alive. You're a participant if you're breathing. If you're someone that is providing for your family or yourself, if you're someone that has bills that have to be addressed and taken care of, if you're someone that wants to plan for a brighter financial future, then this conversation is going to have a direct impact on you. This conversation can be transformational for you as long as you pay attention to these two masters of innovation, entrepreneurialism, leadership, and impact. So let's get into it. I took some notes because I knew I was going to be moderating a conversation between two giants. And one of the first principles that I learned from the both of you is the ability to paint a picture of one's success, to have a vision of what someone wants to create in their life. And there are a lot of people that Mr. Brown and Ms. Hui, that they're in circumstances where they feel like they're being swallowed up because they don't have time to breathe. They don't have time to think. They barely have enough time to work 10, 12 hours a day, get their bills paid, and just get enough rest to get up and do it all over again. How does one even begin to think about creating a vision for a greater life when all they can see is struggle and paycheck to paycheck living?
Well, ladies first. Go ahead, Kim. The master first. Well, you know what? Maybe you know what, I would normally ask the master to come on first. Les, you are truly a legend, and what an honor for me to be on here. And Ed, thank you for having me, and Les, and to be on the same platform with Les. And I think your question it's maybe through my a little brief sharing of how I come to know Les. I think it's very relevant to the question that you are asking. You know, about 30 years ago, when I started my entrepreneur journey, I would say I was a broke entrepreneur, just like, you know, maybe some of you are struggling. You know, I went to university, graduated, had a good job for 10 years, and then I was laid off. I was downsized. I didn't know what to do. So someone told me about, you know, entrepreneurship. And so it kind of sparked something deep in me, you know, like a little girl that had a dream of, you know, wanting to achieve success in life. And so, and sometimes because, you know, the society, the paradigm that had taught us that wasn't working. So I was down and out. And I remember one time I was driving, I used to live in Los Angeles, and I still do sometimes, you know. And so I remember 30 years ago, I was driving from LA to San Francisco. To showcase an opportunity to a prospect. And I was really, really excited and on the way up. And so, and we enrolled this person, and on the way back, halfway back from San Francisco back to Los Angeles, I got a phone call. And that phone call was that the person that we just enrolled had changed their mind. They canceled. And now keep in mind, I want to preface by saying that I had put my last $20 in a tank of gas to go from LA to San Francisco. And so back in those days, 20 bucks would fill up a tank, right? And so halfway down when it got canceled, I mean, imagine how deflated one is. I mean, you know, I had my hopes and dreams onto that person that we just brought on board, and they changed their mind. And so it was at that time, unless, you know, I think I shared this story one time when we were on stage in Singapore, but I plugged your video, your audio tape, cassette tape, into my car, and I was playing your cassette tape, and I was playing and rewind and playing and rewind. And I remember this, Les says, "You've got to be hungry." And I rewind and rewind and you got to be hungry. And I was emulating Les. I was repeating the voice, like using Les's tonality. I said, "Oh, you've got to be hungry." And I kept saying that, and I kept repeating that tape until that car sucked up the tape, you know. And I remember at that time that I said, someday, you know, I couldn't afford to go see Les at that time, you know, and I said, someday I'm going to tell Les the story in person. I mean, now fast forward that 30 years later, what an honor to share the stage with Les. And so coming back to your question, Ed, it doesn't matter where you are in life. I was at once in that space. You know, it's how we get out of it is first, you know, all this distraction, all this stuff that's happening around us is that tune in, anchor in. This is what, forget about like entertaining what is not working. Just tap into, say, you know what are some of my dreams? What are some of my goals in life? And start from there. And then align yourself with the right voices, align yourself with the right people, find your tribe, find your community to help inspire you. And then have a platform. And I think I found my voice of hope and inspiration through Les Talk. And you know, I went out there, took what Les had talked about, his experience, his wisdom, his voices, his resonance of the vibration. And then I went and found a platform and apply them. And so, and I think that's why we are here today, the three of us, is that through the voices of hope and what Les brings to the table, and also a platform so that we can take what we learn and apply them and execute them. And Ed, you yourself gave us the accolade, but you yourself have tremendous, what you have done in life is absolutely amazing. You know, from the Hollywood screens to being a public speaker, to now a leader, a warrior, in a time there's so much needed for humanity, that we're all, three of us are all coming together. So I think I set the stage for Mr. Brown of how we connected years ago. So now we'll let the master speak.
Well, I think that Kim is a king queen. She's a master in her own right. I want
Mhm.
everybody to listen to me right now and what I want to share with you. I am 79. I can't believe it. I used to think people in their 40s were old. Now that I'm 79, I feel like I served at the Lord's Supper. I've known Ed since he was 3 years old. I was talking with his mother the other day. And Ed set this up, and it reminded me of a couple that I had working for me in Miami. They were doing my pool, cleaning the pool, and they had just gotten into the United States from Mexico, and they were cutting the grass. And within 6 months, they purchased a home. Within 6 months, this gentleman started hiring other people to cut grass and clean pools and do the same kind of work that he was doing. This was in the middle of a recession. And I was wondering, how were they able to do this? Got a brand new car. And I had a friend of mine who's bilingual who talked with him. And he said, Les, you know what? I said, what? You know why they've been able to accomplish all that they have accomplished? I said, how? In the middle of a recession. He said, they don't know that it's a recession.
Mm.
They were just focused on what they do best and how they can make themselves stand out. I want everybody to write this down. This is major. Conscious consumption. This is the time that you have to be conscious on what you consume, because what you pay attention to, you turn into. If you look at all the chaos and all the divisiveness and all the hatred and all of the poverty conversations that are going on, if you take that in, you will become the embodiment of that. So now you've got to be conscious on what you listen to. You got to be conscious on what you watch. Nothing can get through except through the ears and through the eyes. Conscious consumption. And what Kim did on the way home, she began to singly focus on listening to words that she could consume that would allow her to step away from the disappointment and the depression and feeling deflated and began to create a new chapter with her life because of what she started listening to. Your words are very important. The words that you speak and the words that we listen to, they're very important. So this is a time that we just can't be negligent. And this is a time that we don't even want to mouth what everybody else is talking about. We want to be singly focused. Number one, number two, number three, focus on our mindset, focus on our health, and focus on building a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. This is a time to consume the reality that you were born and preserved for such a time as this. This is your moment. There are people waiting on you. There are people that will hear me. There are people that will hear Ed. There are people that will hear Kim. But there are people that will hear you, because how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. And so what happened for Kim on that trip back to Los Angeles, she had to begin to create a new story for herself, because the path that she was on, there was an interruption. And here's what we know: interruptions, they're pregnant with new possibilities. They're pregnant with ways in which we can begin to reinvent ourselves. Helen Keller said that when one door closes, many other doors open, but most people spend so much time looking at and talking about the closed door, they don't see the open door. People are talking about saying, hey, artificial intelligence, they're going to replace over 300 million jobs. Well, guess what? Artificial intelligence doesn't have a heart. I came up during a time of Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, and they had a song called Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, Baby. Oh, behave. Yes. You are the real thing. You got a pulse. And when you have a message and a story that you speak, you will ignite in people the power to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives, improving their health, developing a sense of peace, harmony, and joy to handle the challenges of life. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So watch this. Watch how this all ties in. So Kim had a moment, and the reason this channel is called 2% Nation is because there's 98% of the population that moves and thinks one way, and 2% of the population that chooses to think on a much higher level. It's available, that higher frequency is available to everyone. Most people just choose to flow with the mediocre masses. She had to make a decision in that moment. I went to Mr. Brown and I said, years ago, I was off Broadway, and I said, Mr. Brown, I would love to double my income. Because he asked me, like, what's a goal? What's a crazy dream you have? I said, I'd like to double my income. He said, okay. And I said, but Mr. Brown, I got to tell you, like, I'm an actor. I don't know where my next job is coming from. I like, how am I gonna? And you said, hold on, time out. Just, is that what you want? You want to double your income? I said, yes, sir. He said, I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do, and just do exactly what I'm telling you to do. So he starts, Kim, to tell me about what I need, how much audio to listen to every day, to start my day off reading at least 10 to 15 pages. And he said, just do this every single day. He said, I want you to focus on that goal. I said, yeah, but Mr. Brown, but listen, man, I'm an actor. Like, how's that going? And you said, the how is none of your business. Make the commitment. Commit first, create second. I said, okay, I'm going to trust this because I don't know. I have to lean into his understanding, not to my own understanding. He's got results that I don't have, I've never had. I'm going to follow his lead. And do you know that I literally doubled my income in less than 12 months? My goal was 12 months. I did it in less than 12 months. And I was like, wow, this stuff really works. Back to Kim's story. She could have allowed that one person to steal her dream. She could have reasonably said, listen, I just drove all this way. The person saw that I drove all this way, and they still said eventually no. This thing probably is not going to work. Maybe I am being foolish. Let me go back over to the 98%. Let me go back and focus on finding some sort of security. I already have my degree. People around me are telling me it's probably best for me to have a job. She could have given into that, and literally, millions of people would never have heard from her voice, would never have had the opportunity to change their life, because she didn't know that all that was coming. And so we all have that moment. It's just a moment of, am I going to allow my current circumstance to override my vision? No, the vision has to be bigger than the current circumstance. And I learned this at a Les Brown Platinum Speaker training. Your current circumstances are not your conclusion. Once you understand that, you're not defined by where you are, and you understand the power of living in your future, we're all going to have trial and tribulation. Do you think if Kim had just gotten a bunch of yeses and everybody was like, oh, you want to do that? I want to do it too. Help me. I want to help you. Let's go. She would not be the leader that she is. If everybody said yes to Mr. Brown, no college education, no business, going into corporate Fortune 50 and 500 companies telling him how to increase their sales and their performance, he had no business in there. Do you think if they all said yes, he would be the legend that he is? Absolutely not. And so we all have the same path. We're going to have different trial and tribulation, but we're all going to have trial and tribulation. And these two individuals are the embodiment of what that means to plug into a higher level of conversation. Now, I want to tie this in now. Programming yourself for success. You both emphasized what you're listening to, what you're reading. Can you all talk about your personal habits of programming yourself for success before you had the success, and you still do it today? I know you both do still do it today. Talk about that for those people that are wanting more, but they're not understanding. You got to spend more time working on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I want to jump in here now because there's something that you've said that's major. Commit first and create later. Commit first to taking charge of your mind, as Kim did. And when you do that, when you take the time to develop yourself, as you begin to look at what is it that you're going to do, everybody's saying doing more in 2024. Well, in order to get the goals that you envision for yourself, you've got to ask yourself a key question. What is it that I'm going to change about me that I can do more in 2024? Because if you show up in 2024 with a 2023 mindset, you're going to produce the same results. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you begin to look at yourself, number one is the mindset, working on yourself, reinventing your thinking and elevating your thoughts and elevating your relationships. Sidney Poitier, the Academy Award winner, said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He
Mm.
said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Commit yourself to changing your relationships as you look into 2024. Why, Les? Harvard University did an 85-year study called Your Reference Group. And they found that the people who were successful had created a reference group, people that they can learn from, people that they can grow from, people that stimulated their thinking, that inspired them, that challenged them, that hold them accountable to a higher standard and brought the greatness out of them. Those were the people in their reference group. And this is what we are committed to providing for you. The other thing is that going all in. A.L. Williams had a saying, and I love it very much. He said, all you can do is all you can do, but all you can do is enough. Many
Mm-hmm.
times when I'm speaking to audiences, and Ed and Kim, you've had this experience, I ask people a question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? And I would raise my hand too, because I know I could have done more. And most people who are honest will answer that. There's a book called The University of Success. And one of the things that I'm encouraging you to do is to listen closely to this. Og Mandino said that most people never achieve their goals because they become sidetracked or distracted by secondary activity. If you
Mm.
want to do more in 2024, listen to me. Create a season of 90 days, the first 90 days, a season of saying no. If it doesn't contribute to your building the business, if it doesn't contribute to you manifesting your dream, if it is not in alignment with where you are going and what you envision for yourself, to create more in 2024. Because every time you say yes to something that's not on the path of where you're going, you're saying no to your dream. You're saying no to your potential. You're saying no to your unfolding future. You're saying no to your being an entrepreneur and positioning yourself to create wealth and special moments with your family members and friends. Create a season, commit yourself for the first 90 days of saying no, and say yes to the things that you need to do, to read, to listen, to begin to prospect, to develop the people that's in alignment, that share your dream, that's going in the direction of where you are going. That's very important right now, because most people become so caught up in the distractions of what the world is saying. Be ye not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm encouraging you to go online and find Les Brown speaking in the Georgia Dome. I'm speaking to over 80,000 people. Watch that for 90 days. I want you to go online and find You Gotta Be Hungry by Les Brown. Watch that for 90 days. And I want you to go to the one that's saying it's possible. Why, Les? I've seen it. Oh, I've heard it. Oh, that's okay. No, you want to listen until you are producing the results. You believe it, but you don't know it. You want to know it And you know it by virtue of the production of the numbers that you're able to generate, the income that you're able to manifest, the growth in your organization. That's when you know it. It's one thing to believe. The mind believes, but the heart knows. And here's what you know in your heart of hearts. The reason that you're listening to us, everything that we're saying, you already know it. But you know that we're cut from the same cloth. We're branches of the same tree. And the things that we've done, you will do, and even more. This is your moment. You were born and preserved for such a time as this.
Mm.
I ain't
So
playing
many
with you.
nuggets.
No.
Mhm.
Don't come for me. I didn't call an Uber. No.
You know, I like to chime in here, and just, you know, Les, I can listen to you all day. You know, I love what you said about, you know, interruptions. What's inside the interruptions are pregnant with possibilities. It is such a profound statement that, you know, interruptions happens in our life, disruptions happen in our lives, but they are in those moments, what's inside that is pregnant with possibility. And if we're willing to deliver that baby, we're pregnant with that possibility. Question is, are you willing to go through that 9 months of pregnancy to deliver that baby? It is so profound. And I will say this, that whatever's happening to us as humanity right now, or it's what you tune in, and we all have the ability to access that extraordinariness in life of what life can provide, and we all can demand unreasonableness. And so what's reasonable is the programming of what we think, humanity think, the labeling, the structure, the things that we were taught. But there is beyond that is the unreasonable. How do we go about tapping into that? And I tell you, this is what I've learned the last 30 years is that, you know, and I read somewhere and listened somewhere that we all have that 5 enemies within us. And that 5 enemies are our 5 senses. The 5 senses that we were taught to see, what we're taught to listen, what we're taught to smell, what we're taught to taste. But who we are transcends. It's beyond the 5 senses. And so I think this, as we wrap up this 2023 and what's about to come, Les, you are absolutely right. We are made for time like this. It is us, what we're willing to step into. Are we willing to step into our power? Are we willing to step into what we're born to do? You know, and I will share this with you. I'm very blessed to be where I am after 30 years of work. And the work is not outside. The hardest work, like what Les Brown talk about, is the inside. Like, you know, Ed, you and me and Les, we talk about this. The toughest thing is the inside job. Success is also an inside job. Are we willing to unload or uninstall whatever programming, whatever belief that no longer serve us, and reinstall and download the things, the tribes, the community that's around us? And so, you know, Les, I believe this is why we're coming together. I'm of the belief that why we're all coming together at this point, in my career, in your life, Les, and in Ed's life, that we all have, you know, through our own experiences, through our own path, our own journey, 3 of us convergence coming together to a point where we can make such an impact to community, that Les, through your voice, through your platform, through your community, and through, I'm kind of the applicator, like the executor, like through what we learn, we execute, we apply what we learned. And we need a platform to come together. And Ed, you are the warrior. You are the leader to help through our voices, that people that resonate with our frequency, people that resonate with our vibration, they want to be a part of this. And as we approach, and 2024 is coming in a few days, as we are taking this, that we have a platform. And one of the reasons why I think I'm jumping the gun here, Ed, one of the reasons why I come back out to work is that we are living in times of great shift, shifting into the extraordinary, should you wish to. You know, it's what you tune on, what Les talked about. It's what you tune into. And so here we are broadcasting possibility, voices of hope, voices of change that's here. And that we have a platform. And so that's what I hope I didn't jump the gun, Ed.
No, you didn't, but I want to include something here.
Yes.
In the middle, and listen closely, in the middle of a surgery, it looks like a murder. In the middle of a surgery, it looks like a murder. But on the other side, there's a healing. On the other side, there's a breakthrough that takes place, that's ignited. And that as we look at ourselves, evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. This is the time that we have to amplify our voices. This is the time that we have to step up. This is the time that we must resolve. It's not over until we win. Yes, yes, we got to be hungry. Yes.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that came out. What you tune into, you turn into. Taking advantage of the times that we're in. And in programming ourselves, obviously what you're reading, what you're listening to, who you're listening to, who do you call to elevate that inner voice within yourself? Because people naturally are you're going to fall back to your default setting. If your default setting is paycheck to paycheck living, if your default setting is watching Netflix and chill every day to get over the struggle of living check to check, if these are your default settings, you're the most susceptible to distraction. You're the most susceptible to all of the noise, exterior noise that is built in to make sure that you don't make progress. So I would dare say, and I learned this from another leader, another business leader. He said, look, you need to sit down and write down the things that bother you, that scare you. All those people that told Mr. Brown that he was foolish to think that corporations were going to bring him in to share his expertise in intellectual property with no college education. All of the circle around Kim that said, you have a degree. Why are you wanting to be an entrepreneur? You don't have any training in that. What are you talking about? Go find another job. There are people that will look at individuals and they'll say, I don't really see you making that. Or they don't say it, but they say it with their face and how they look at you. Writing down those moments, writing down what would your life look like if you just kept doing what you're doing, talking a good game and not backing it up. What if you were to leave this earth tomorrow? We all have a birth date and a box date. We don't know the box date. So if you leave tomorrow having never even pursued your true dream, your biggest goals, what kind of legacy is that going to leave in your wake? And if that doesn't scare you, if that doesn't wake you up, then find something that does. Because sometimes when people see a Les Brown, they see a Kim Hui and all of your success, and everybody lights up when they get around you because your energy is phenomenal. They don't see who you were. They don't see what you had to go through and grow through to become that. They're just seeing the finished product. So they're comparing their chapter 1 or 2 to your chapter 30. It's not reasonable. So understanding that there are bigger forces at work if we allow ourselves to go there. Go to that place that scares you. What if I have to meet my maker and my maker pulls up a list and says, hey, Mr. Blunt, here's what you were supposed to do. Here's all the things you were supposed to do. But because you allowed fear, limiting beliefs, low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-image, because you allowed that to dictate your decisions, because you allowed other people to rob you of your goals and your dreams, here's what you actually created. And this is your legacy forever. Mm-hmm. If that doesn't bother you, if that doesn't disturb you on the cellular level,
Now, here's something else I want him to write on there. This is very important. Write down your reason. Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. When I thought about, and people ask me, how did you get here? Born in an abandoned building on a floor, being adopted, labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failed again in the 8th grade, no college training, no corporate experience. How did you overcome all the odds? I had a goal, I had a dream, I had a reason. I promised my mother, I said, Mama, you adopted us. When I become a man, I'm going to buy you a home. When my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, I pursued becoming a speaker. I pursued developing the level of credibility and developing a story that will allow me to touch and transform people's lives. There's something that John Maxwell said. He said, when you have a why, your why will ignite your will. And when you have the will, your will help you to fly. It will produce your wings to soar above the noise of life. And when you have those setbacks, when you have those defeats and those rejections, and understanding that what we're saying, it's not for everybody. The road to life is straight and narrow, and few that be that find it. We're talking to the few. The few, everybody won't hear us. The few who say, you know what? I'm not settling for this. You know what? I'm bigger than this. Where are you going? Away from here. The few who said, I've had it. I've had it. That's when people change. When they say, I've had it. I saw a friend of mine in the grocery store, Miss Lillian, who lived next door to us. And every Friday night, Mr. Marvin would get drunk and he would beat her. And I saw her in the grocery store. I said, how you doing? She said, fine, Leslie. I said, how's Mr. Marvin doing? She said, oh, I don't know. I said, what do you mean? I left him. I said, you did? Yes. She said, I'd had it being treated like nothing. I've had it, a feeling that I couldn't survive. He was making all the money, but I left one night when he was drunk, and I developed the skill to get a job. And now I'm independent and I'm living on my own. I'm calling my own shots. And I'm saying some of you have had it. Some of you have gone through some stuff. Some of you in stuff. Viktor Frankl said, in life, you either in a problem, just left one, or headed toward one. But there's a power in you. When you find that something that you want, that brings out the beast in you, that refuses to be denied. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind of the kind of life that you can create for yourself and for the people that you care about. This is your moment. This is your time. We're speaking to your heart. You know everything that we're saying, and we're here to support you in creating a new mindset, up leveling your skills, and creating a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships that will bring out the greatness in you.
Kim, are you jumping in?
Yes, I would love to. I think listening to Les, I mean, it just reminded me of my, 30 years ago when I first connected to your voice. I would say this, as people listening to this and to your audience, Les and Ed, and to people out there, it's when we have that desire to tune in. What I found as an entrepreneur the last, 30 years, traveling to 50 countries and meeting people from all walks of life, here's what I realized. Yes, people wanted to change. People want to say, okay, I'm ready. Where do I go? Is my job and my business model, is it going to help me transform or transcend go beyond what my current circumstances are. And so these are things that we individuals have to evaluate. Your job, your business model, with the changing in time in the economy, is it going to serve you to help elevate? It's wonderful. We tune into all this stuff. So now the applicator, to execute. How do I go about execute? And that, Ed and Les, is why I chose to come back out and work again. And that is to have a platform for entrepreneur, that we have people like Les, like yourself, that are out there inspiring and influencing, impacting people, that when they elevate their thinking, they are tuned in to change. With all of us entrepreneurs, we need a platform, just like artists, singers, performers, they need a stage to perform. And so that's where we come in. For those of you that wanted to change, wanted to tune in, wanted to live a better version of yourself, that's where we come in. And as maybe, I didn't go about to talk about a little bit about the project and why I chose to come back out and work again. I've been tremendously blessed the last 30 years. And, I was semi-retired, but what happened is I began to seek a different surrounding. So I moved here to Sedona. And when I'm here witnessing what happened the last couple of years, that the change, and I refuse to live in that paradigm. So I was seeking for a way to say, what can I do? How can I be of impact when all that's happening seemingly is what's happening to society, seemingly it's beyond my control. But there is a voice. It says, so you know what? There is more of us. There are more people out there that are seeking for change. They just need a platform. So, less than a year ago, I think it was about a year ago now, that voice came, that vision came to come about and find a platform so that other people can come together, be this global supportive, collaborative, what Les talked about, a community where we can uplift each other. We can lift each other up, and we can have a platform to apply what we learn and to live our dreams. And so with that, that's what I come out to do. And what do people want nowadays more than ever? Well, they want to change, they want a freedom, and they want a good health. And so, and that's what we hear. We launched a project. I launched a project, and it was official launch. I think it was in March, so a couple of months ago. It is a platform for entrepreneurs to come together, to take what they learn, and to really to apply and to live a better version of themselves in physical wellness, financial wellness, and mental wellness. And so, and the things that Les talked about, I mean, truly, it's about it to me. It's not only mind wellness, but spiritual wellness. And so, and I couldn't be more honored to be on this thread with the three of you, three of us, the two of you guys. And I truly believe through Les and through Ed, through your reach, through your audience, you can go out there and impact so many lives. And what people want nowadays, it's a platform, an opportunity to break the formation that we were accustomed to. Like whatever you talk about, Ed, the defaults that most people are tuned back in. You know what? The good thing about those defaults is that we can reset those defaults when you choose to reset. I came to America when I was 14 years ago. I lived here for almost 45 years. We came here with nothing, but we're able to change the mindset, change your default, change your paradigm that I wasn't happy. I dropped all those belief system that didn't serve me to be here where I am here today. So I hope, Ed, that kind of answered the question that it kind of helped tie things together, why the three of us come together. It's that, you are the executor, Ed. You are the warrior. And I and Les are here to support you and many other people that are out there. And I love what Les talked about, the reference group. We are collectively the reference group. And should you choose to, we want to welcome you to our community.
So, let's tie it
so much.
in.
I'm honored to work with both of you. I'm so excited, and I can't wait for us to be in the room together, to share the stage together, to bring out the hunger and the greatness for the few that can hear our voices.
And let's
Mhm.
talk about you all have alluded to two things specifically: partnering strategically, making sure that you're surrounding yourself with eagles and not pigeons. And when you elevate your surroundings, you elevate your conversation. The platform it has to be something that people can come into and can learn and help others to reproduce in that space. So I'll give you an example. Had a long conversation with a friend of mine. He was looking at a franchise. It's called Fast Signs. It's a stationery and copying and things of that nature. And he said, Ed, I spent about 7 months researching. I talked to 40 other franchise owners. It's about a $300,000 investment that they want me to put up. And I'm looking at this because I want to create some income that takes gives me more options, more of an opportunity. He said, but when I talked to these 40 other franchise owners, in the manual, Kim, it said, don't expect to make any money your first 2 years. So you're not going to make any money your first 2 years. By your third year, you should be able to break even. So Mr. Brown, he's looking at the numbers and he's saying, well, when I talked to these people in real time, they told me it was like 4 or 5 years before they broke even. And he's like, the math is not mathing. This is not adding up. I'm going to have to be there 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I'm going to have to identify people that can be reliable employees. I got to take on the overhead and the insurance, and I'm obligated to earn a certain amount, or they can take the franchise back. They can take it away. I said, well, let me ask you a question. If you don't have your health, let's say your health goes away and you're no longer functional, what happens to your income? He's like, well, I can't work. I said, exactly. So if you learn to make your health a priority, do you think that would give you more of an opportunity to explore opportunities? I know you're not wanting to do this other franchise thing. He said, yes. I said, great. I said, what if we had a platform, Kim, a platform that enables us to surround you with eagles and not pigeons, people who are successful in various aspects of life. So you might have somebody with expertise as a teacher, someone with expertise as a world-class professional speaker, someone with expertise as a business person, a doctor, a dentist, what have you. You have this pot of gumbo of excellence that you can surround yourself with, but we all have the same vision and direction, which is what Kim talked about: better health, better mind, better spirit, better heart. And see, this is the beauty of the platform, because when you're a part of a platform like this, it impacts everything else that you do. It helps you to become a better father, a better friend, a better husband, a better wife, a better mother, a better leader in your community. You can actually even be better in your current occupation. I've seen people take what we learn and what we teach in this environment, and they go out and get a promotion on their current job. So it's very much akin to, why do people go to church some people go to church once a week, twice a week, Bible study, because they want to be in a high vibrational environment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is this, is that, and Mr. Brown's going to he's going to speak to this, because he's going to say, I'm not even going to attempt to say it. But when you come into this world, it challenges you to not only think at a higher level, but to perform at a higher level. And there's accountability with that. When I'm talking to Kim, I know that Kim can look at my dynamic and she knows exactly where I'm at on my journey. And so there's measuring sticks that she can hold me accountable to. She's understanding my mindset, but there's also accountability in terms of, like, the numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And when you have that kind of accountability, it forces you to level up in your life. See, people can hide on their jobs. They can have a job and they can hide out for 20 years, never grow, never become more competent, because they're doing the same thing 20 years in a row. And in this world that we occupy as entrepreneurs, free enterprise, why are people dying still today to get to this country? Because it gives you an opportunity to go out into the marketplace, set your number, and go get it. And this is what we're purveyors of. We're purveyors of capitalism, free enterprise, and the opportunity to go out here and make a difference, but also make a significant income. And as Mr. Brown would always say, impact drives income.
Mhm. Maybe Ed, that well said. Maybe what I'll do is I want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, and then we'll have Mr. Brown to close out this call.
Okay.
And I would say this, what prevents most people in history to start their own business are capital. The case that you just cited, a friend of yours want to look into franchise. I mean, let's look at it. How many people in America can afford a $300,000 investment into a franchise, right? So when that happens, so that stops most people from wanting to engage, to embark on the journey of entrepreneurship. And so that said, there is an evolution that happened. Whether we know it or not, the business model, the way that we were taught how money are made, there happened an evolution the last since humanity, right? I mean, from the industrial age, to the manufacturing, to all that, now to the informational age, right? So there's a whole evolution. I'm sure in the old days, right, entrepreneurship, I'm sure you guys, my son went through it here growing up here in America. The very first entrepreneurship for him was delivering paper, riding a bicycle and delivering paper, right? And then he had a lemonade stand, selling. That's how I taught him math, to collect the money, the change. And, he learned math that way better than he learned at school. And so lemonade stand, then, we were all taught when you have some money, then open your own store. And then the next evolution was, okay, you open your own store, you apply all that you learn and you do it yourself, and nobody teach you, do yourself. Then there was a better model, which was a franchise, where somebody come up with a model, okay? Then they give you the tools, the equipment, then you invest a ton of money, then you do your franchise, right? Now, as technology evolved, there was the online thing. There was everything's on the cloud. So that the cloud thing allowed people to say, okay, with little investment, I can put my business in the cloud, and I can invest some small amount of money coming up with a website and put my product and services online. That's all great, but it's still, so it empowered entrepreneurs to start a business, those who want to and have the know-how or wanting to learn the know-how. And then there was this whole social influencer, right? So when people have a huge following, like Les, if Les chooses to, he could be a social influencer. People would, let's say, hey, Les, why don't you rep this product? Then people will, your social info, but that is still limited to Les. Now, I'm completely off social media. So for someone like myself, I'm not a social influencer. I don't have a huge following on social platform. How do I do? Well, in today's age, in the times we're living in right now, there's something called social e-commerce that will allow us, we all have our own little sphere of influence with our family, friends, and for those of you that have social media, so you have your own little niche, your circle that you could promote. And so this is what I would say, the business model that is taking the world by storm. Most businesses in the old days is, how do we go from B to C? B meaning from business to consumer. This is the Harvard study. This is all the business world wants to know. How do we go about from B to C and making that impact, that reach greater? How do we have a broader, bigger reach to C? Well, you know what? We have a way. It's what if we can turn more of the C into a B? Most people want to go from, this is where thought leaders are in the coming of age in 2024, is most people looking for, how do we go from B to C? Well, what if there's a platform to turn from the C's? Because in this model from B to C, are there more C than B? Absolutely. There's only one. In this scenario, there's only one B and many C's, hopefully, many customers. Well, what if there's a way that you can empower these C's into all B's, then they can go out there and get more C's. And then all that is linked to your business. To me, it completely disrupted the franchise business, the model. And again, with that disruption, like what Les talked about, it's pregnant with abundance of possibility and potentiality, is whether you seize it. And so, you know what? I would love to have Les to close out this call. The way I look at this is this, Ed. For those people who want to learn more about the changing the evolution of business model, you know, maybe Ed, you can post and Les, you can post a link so people can learn more. And also the people that put you on this call, that send you this link, that you could connect with them and get the link from them. And so this is what it's about. It's empowering more C's to become B. So you turn from B to C, C to B. When there's more C, they go to B. This disrupts the entire business model that we were taught. So anyway, with that said, maybe Mr. Brown can close out this call.
And before
Well,
Mr.
I want
Brown
people.
goes, Mr. Brown, before you
Yeah.
go, I want to highlight what Kim stressed. She talked about leverage. She talked about the power. As J. Paul Getty said, I'd rather have 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% of my own. It's thinking differently. It's being able to help a lot of people, but you're also going beyond trading hours for dollars only. I call it carrying buckets or building a pipeline. You would much rather have a pipeline because a pipeline flows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're only carrying buckets, to me, that's a problem. I'm not saying you can't carry buckets and get your paycheck. I'm saying while you're carrying buckets, you could build a pipeline too. Mr. Brown, please.
And I'd like to thank you. Kim I'm so excited to be working with you. Oh my goodness. This is the way that I believe that when you step into this frequency of greatness, it brings out the best in you. And Ed, for us to be together, it doesn't get any better than this. And so I want to say to everybody, the few, because you can walk outside and find some pigeons, but for the few, the eagles that are listening, if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gold, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story. 1, 2, 3. And I'm sticking to it. Bye for now.
Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Make sure you get back to the person who sent you this link, get more information. We look forward to seeing you on the other side and making some life-changing impact in 2024 and beyond.
Happy New Year, everyone.